My most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beautiful Lord. Sai Ram to all. So the plans for the temple was going on, and finally the plans were ready, and Somni got one of her students to make a brochure with the color drawing of the mandir and all the necessary flow plan and everything in a small two-page brochure. And Somni arranged for these builders and his team, and also the students who were involved in the plan of this mandir to make a trip to Puttaparthi and get the plan blessed by Bhagwan. A few months later, they came to Puttaparthi, they stayed in Sai Plaza, they went for darshan. And of course, one day, Swami blessed the engineer who had these diagrams in his hand. So this part of it was over. While I was staying the very first month in Swamini's ashram, every day Swamini would call me in the night, and then she would ask me after her telephone call to go and meditate in the mandir. So then the whole day, I would be cooking, I would have somewhere to go, or I would be visiting her in her house. So many things were happening at the same time. And I had many, many meetings with these people. One day, Somini announced that the next day she would be a recording. Somini had made many recordings in her musical career, but after she started this ashram and turned towards her spiritual journey, then she started recording bhajans with her students. And all this recording was done in one of the studios in the Universal Studio Complex. Somni had her own recording room there. So she announced that the next day they would be doing a new album, and all the students who were singers were invited to go there and partake of that whole recording. I was also invited to visit the studios and see how it takes place. So the next day, one of the students drove me there, and I had also prepared a lunch for Somni because these sessions normally last the whole day. It starts like 9:30, 10, and it goes on until Somni finishes it or winds it up. And Somni was a perfectionist. She would record it at least 50 times each of the songs until it was perfect. And the students were used to it, they had done many recordings before. So I was sitting on one side and watching this. It was so new to me. I'd never visited a studio, and that too in Hollywood. So I was enchanted. I was sitting next to Swamini while she was conducting it, and this went on for the whole day. Then around 2 o'clock, Swamini took a break, and then we went to a side room, and she allowed me to serve her lunch, and we sat and spoke for some time. And then she said, okay, we will wind up for today. You can go back to the ashram. By this time it was about 3:34 in the evening. And then she looked into my eyes and she said, go and sleep. So one of the students drove me back to the ashram. And I only remember opening my door, changing my clothes, and I just flopped on my bed. That was it. Didn't remember anything until I heard the phone ring at the usual 11:30, 12 in the night. That is when I realized that for the last 10, 12 days, I had not slept one night. I didn't feel the weakness. I was not tired. I was not sleepy in the day. And it was like, it was a normal day for me, even though I had not slept one wink in the night for all these days. And that night when Somini called me, she said, did you sleep? I said, Somini, I don't remember. I just remember, hitting the bed and I was out like a light. And then she said, yes, I wanted you to experience how it is that the sages and saints would stay up the whole night meditating on the Lord, and then they never felt tired because they had so much energy from their spiritual work that they was doing. They never felt tired. And God gives you the energy, when you meditate. You do not need this physical routine to be charged by God. And she said, many times in your life now, in the future, you will know what it is to go without sleep, go without food. And that time she told me one story when she started her spiritual journey. This was right after John Coltrane, her husband, passed away. She was a young widow, about 29 years. She already had 4 children at that time, And she said when she started her spiritual journey, she had two gurus in her life. One was Lord Krishna and the other was Lord Rama. Lord Rama was a warrior, he was very strict. He would put her through rigorous spiritual routines, She said she had to go for days without food. She said once she didn't know how many months it was since she had eaten food. She could only have a few sips of water. And she said she had forgotten how food would taste on her tongue. She didn't know how a fruit or an apple tasted. She had forgotten the taste of rice. Everything, she didn't know. So, and she lost a lot of weight because she was not eating any food. She was basically living on prana and water. So she had very intense spiritual tapas that Lord Rama put her through. And she said that he taught her complete obedience. And this was a point for me to learn, because in my life, whenever Swami would tell me to do something which I did not like, I would revolt. I would resent it and I would fight with Swami. I would ask him why. Swami is very difficult for me. I cannot do it. Even small things. I remember one funny incident when Swami told me, tomorrow you keep Mauna. Tomorrow is Thursday. You are such a talkative person, you need to keep quiet. And I was a student in those days. So since Swami said with a lot of resentment, I said, okay, I will try. Tomorrow is Thursday. I will not speak to anyone. And we were in Prashanthi Nilayam. The students, we had come there for that weekend or whatever. I kept quiet the whole day. I didn't talk to anybody. And I was like in such turmoil, such pressure, because I was not talking. And so when Swami came by for evening darshan, he came and he looked at me, and Swami burst out laughing because he saw the expression on my face, like I couldn't hold it in any longer. And Swami waved his hand and created some vibhuti for me, and he said, okay, you can open your big mouth now. He laughed and he walked away. So it was like even small things like that, I could not, continue that kind of sadhana. And with Swamini, that is when I started to learn how important it was to obey Swami, not question him. He tells you to do anything, he knows what he's doing. We don't know, right? So when he says do this, we should understand that it is good for us. It did not matter what the instructions or orders were. So this is how Swamini taught me to obey God. Whatever the orders, just blindly follow it. And she told me an incident where she was during her tapas days, and Lord Rama told her, switch on the geyser, the hot water in the kitchen. And she switched it on, and he said, wait. So she waited for about 5-10 minutes, and then he said, turn on the faucet and see if it is hot. She turned on the faucet and it was hot boiling water. Then he said, close it, wait for a few minutes more. And then she waited, and then he said again, okay, check the water. She turned on the faucet and it was just steam coming through it, and she had put her hand under the tap. She said her whole flesh got burnt from her hand, and her family heard the commotion. They came running and they didn't know. They thought Swamini was acting very weird. They had no idea about the sadhana she was doing, and her family took her to the hospital, and she was lying there, and the doctors took a look at her hand, and it was actually like the flesh had fallen off and the bones could be seen. So the doctors told there is nothing much to be done, and they just bandaged it with gauze, and they said we don't know, but they gave her some painkillers for the pain, and they said you stay in hospital for a few days, we will see what we need to do next. And Swamini told me that when the doctors left, she would spit out all the tablets, and she would not take any medication. And when nobody was around, she said Lord Krishna would come, and then he would sit near her on the bed, and he would take her burnt hand in his beautiful hands, and then he would gently blow his sweet breath on her hand. She said the pain went away. She didn't feel the burning sensation, and every day he did that. He would come now and then, and he would blow on her burnt hand, and miraculously that hand healed. Even today, when I met Swamini also, you could see the complete burn marks on her fingers and the skin all the way up to her wrist, completely burnt and healed. But Lord Krishna healed her hand for her. This is one very beautiful incident from her life that she shared with me. Om Shri Sai Ram. Swami bless you all.